Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 73 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of VR. I'm your host, Laurie, and it is an honour to be joined by two of the most beloved influencers in the metaverse. It's Alex and Reese, and we are thrilled to be joined by one of the biggest actual influencers. It's Callum Hurley.
Thank you so much. That was an awfully kind intro. I am thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it's always good
Too
when we have an
kind.
actual. We have we pretend to be VR influencers, so it's always nice when we're joined by an actual.
I
real
won't
name
go that
from
far, but I appreciate it. It's very flattering.
Hey, it's none other than the host of VR Spotlight here with us tonight, everyone.
It's true.
So, Callum, for those that don't know you, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, sure. So in the VR realm, generally, I'll be known for two things at the moment. One is the creator / producer / host of the VR game Spotlight, which is a yearly stage show that takes place at EGX and streamed online, where developers get to showcase all their upcoming games. It's sort of your classic on-stage E3 style conference, obviously smaller scale, VR focused. And then more recently, for the last few months, I have joined Psyctec Games, the developers of the Windlands games and Crystal Rift. Joined them just over 3 months ago, so still fairly new there. And my role within there is marketing, community management, and QA. So wear a couple of different hats. We're a small developer, but we're making cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be talking about Windlands a bit later. It's in the news this week, and we've been playing it as well. But so what's your history with VR, Callum? How did you get into all of this?
That's an interesting question, because I kind of fell into it, is the best way to describe it. I'll very, very quickly go over the first time I ever experienced VR. It was at EGX, or as it was known at the time, the Eurogamer Expo. I want to say it was Eurogamer 2013.
Oh, wow.
And there was a demo there of Surgeon Simulator being run on an Oculus Rift DK1. With Razer Hydra controllers. For anyone who might be listening who is unaware of Razer Hydra controllers, they were very early attempts at 6 degrees of freedom hand controllers. They were not great. I mean, for the time, they were a good experiment, but
Sure.
the tracking wasn't great. And on top of that, it being Surgeon Simulator, which is this physics-heavy game that's already very finicky and hard to control, it was a difficult time. And the headset was really blurry. Looking back on it now, I think the lenses were a bit dirty. Again, it was my first time using VR. Like, for all I know, that's just how it looked. So I had a pretty bad experience. It was not hitting frame rate either. I came out feeling really sick and thinking, man, VR is a fad. Why do people care about that? Why is that? Why did I queue up for like an hour to do that? And then I barely touched VR until 2 years later, or maybe a year later, I can't remember, I met Anna Ribeiro, who developed Pixel Ripped, and her and a friend who were living nearby at the time regularly visited a pub that my best friend worked at. That's how we met. It was the whole thing. And they had me try a demo on their Gear VR. It was like this small demo thing where you're essentially like a bouncer letting people into a club. And that was like my second experience of VR, and I was really impressed. It ran really smoothly, it was comfortable, and obviously it was Gear VR, so it was fully wireless and kind of blew my mind. And so then at the next EGX I went to, they were having demos for PlayStation VR. Went and tried that out. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I played like this tank game, Battle Zone, I want to say it was called, or something like that.
Sounds familiar.
And that absolutely blew my mind, because it was my first experience of 6 degrees of freedom VR. Like, I was in the headset and I like leaned in to look closer at like all the controls and stuff on the tank, and that like blew my mind that it could like track where I was moving and stuff. So that's when I was like fully in, and that was September 2016. And out of pure coincidence, I was in university at the time. I was training in musical theatre, so very different to what I'm doing now.
Well, I can see how you're on stage presenting. Yeah, you can.
That's fair. That's kind of where I still like to get a bit of a kick out of doing.
So maybe this year's VR Spotlight would break out into song at some point. Maybe just Alex can. Alex
It's
is
going to
always
happen. Alex loves to sing.
If I have it in me
I do love a song.
Let's have some background dancers. We can all do that as well. It'd be a good laugh.
It'd be fun to put together. I don't know how people would feel about watching it, but it'd be fun to do.
People watching, so I just came here for VR. What the hell is this?
Just Dance VR Live.
So, exactly.
Whoa,
Just Dance
there you
playing.
go, yeah. Get Just Dance going.
Sorry, go on.
But, so I was in a rehearsal for a show. We were doing a production of West Side Story at the time. One of my castmates came up to me and said, and I'm going to quote, what's your rule on like swearing on this show?
Oh, you're fine. On you go.
You can say anything you want.
It's not a particularly massive swear, but it's always just good to check first. But yeah, a friend comes up to me and says, and I remember this word for word, "Hey Callum, you like tech and games and shit, right?" I was like, yeah, why? And he had seen this job it was basically just a VR arcade. It was a little VR arcade in Camden. But at the time, to support uni, I was doing bar work. And that sounded more exciting. So I went for it. I got that. And then they closed that and opened up a concept retail space on Brick Lane called Sandbox. It's not the Sandbox you're thinking of. It was called Sandbox. And the whole idea was it was like a showroom for loads of different like new and emerging tech. So we had a lot of like smart devices. They were becoming big at the time, like your Google Home and your Echo Dot and all of that kind of stuff. Those were all still kind of new. And there were lots of like smart lighting setups. But we had a second floor which was dedicated to VR. And we actually, for a while, were HTC's official Vive demo location. And I basically ran the VR floor for less than a year, I think, before I was made redundant, which is always tough. Literally walked in on random Wednesday. Boss came up to me and said, "Hey, it's your last day today."
Oh, man.
So that was fun. And it was right as I was graduating as well. So it was like worst possible timing. To sustain myself, I went back to an old pub back home where my family lived that I worked at before I moved to London. They very kindly took me back in, even though they didn't really need extra help. And while I was doing that, I was still occasionally coming up to London every weekend or so because I was still paying rent while not really living there. And while on the tube this summer, that particular summer, I bumped into a friend completely out of the blue. She got on the same tube as me, and I explained to her that whole story being made redundant, all that kind of stuff. She said, "I actually got an email about some like VR promo gig if you're interested." So she sent that my way.
Serendipity.
Honestly, so much like crazy coincidental timing. And yeah, I went for it and I got it. And basically it was, the job title was brand ambassador, but it was essentially, when you see like Oculus kiosks, or you would see like demo kiosks and things like that. It was basically running one of those for Oculus in Heathrow Airport and selling Rifts, which at first I think, because there were like sales targets and competitions and things like that with the other staff members, and I always thought, well, I'm always going to lose because who's buying a VR setup in an airport? It turns out people with money go through airports quite a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I didn't think about that side of things. I always remember we had this one guy who basically showed up like a brown paper bag full of cash, and he bought a Rift headset. He bought a VR ready laptop. He went absolutely insane. But yeah, so I was doing that with Oculus for a couple of years, 2.5 years or so. And that transition from Rift over to Go was the focus when I left. And then the contract hours got too tight, so I had to leave there. Joined another VR arcade local to me, and I managed that for a couple of years. And then when I'd kind of gotten past the arcade side of things, I joined a company called Answer. They were Cornerstone at the time. They're now called Answer. And we developed VR content for social care. So it was quite different from gaming. The content is designed to put you in the perspective of a child in the UK care system. And so that's experiencing things like neglect, trauma, but also like being introduced to a foster family for the first time and adoption, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So it's very different, but really interesting. It was mostly used for social care training, and it was a really powerful tool. And then, yeah, I was doing that for about 4 years. I was there for quite a while. And while doing that, I started to miss my connection to the gaming side of things. I had years back just kind of get involved with EGX and try and get more VR things going on there. I started doing panels and bringing on developers to talk about VR and things. And then, after my panel in 2019, I turned around to Tom Champion, who used to run EGX, and basically said, wouldn't it be cool if we did like a showcase? I love game showcases. Nothing exists like it for VR. I'd like it to be a thing. Let's do it.
Showcases themselves hardly exist anymore.
That's true. It was, and he took a chance, which I appreciated. At the time, I didn't really have anyone on board yet. I mean, I knew various developers from doing panels and stuff. But other than that, it was kind of getting them to trust me to do it and then go out, find developers and gather interest. Unfortunately, a global pandemic then immediately happened and events didn't happen for a few years. So the original VR game showcase, as it was going to be called, in 2020 didn't happen. And then in 2022, EGX was happening again. We got it going again. I did kind of have to go back from scratch, though, because Tom Champion was no longer running EGX. It was under ReadPop now, and it was a whole different thing. So I had to go through their contact page on the website. Like, hey, none of my contacts from EGX do EGX anymore. But
so
we were
honestly,
planning
I
a
was
whole
going to do
thing.
this. Promise. Like, who is this guy?
That was literally it. I was like, we were going to do this whole thing. I swear. Like, let's carry on. And thankfully, they got back and we worked on it.
Brilliant. I mean, it was great to see last year have that presence for VR at EGX, because we were there, and I think there was only a couple of games that were playable on the show floor. Was it Sea Smash and Tin Hearts? Was there anything else?
Tin Hearts. There was Tea is Served as well, which was an early build of a game, which was quite a cool little concept. I liked it.
And we've always said, like, VR is you can't watch trailers to appreciate it. You have to just get a headset on people's heads and show them it for real.
That's what's tough.
Did
you guys go in 2022?
I did not.
What year is this?
We're in 2024 now.
I think
we were there, but
I think that's before we went
before our
doing
VR days, though. Probably there was
that's a
more
shame.
there in 22 though, because I remember a lot of the guys like trying out a lot of VR stuff in 22.
We got a lot of VR stuff going there in 2022. It was a shame we didn't quite manage it for 23, but we had like a whole row when you came in the entrance. Basically, that first entire row, fast travel games were showing like 4 or 5 games. We had got them in, and there were a whole bunch of others. There were loads of VR that year. It was great.
Hopefully this year there's a few more. We'll see.
I remember they had
really
that. And there was a bit at the back, like it was a VR like game or something, wasn't there? It was like 5v5 like thing that you on the floor as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, I can't remember
22.
What game it was. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say 22 in general. I just remember it being like, you can tell a lot of publishers weren't ready to go back to physical events, were they? But the organisers were trying to make it happen. So those that were there were like brilliant. And I know there was lots of like video game students and stuff. So it was a really interesting kind of mix of people there. It wasn't just usual big publishers, because it's almost like they'd just been told no in-person events yet. So it was left to those more, I don't know, it was a bit more interesting as a result, I found.
Yeah, it's been difficult, especially because a lot of the large publishers still aren't really doing events. Notably, Sony aren't doing big events, and even Microsoft has chilled out on them a bit outside of Gamescom. So EGX has had a rough couple of years, being completely honest. This year should be a big step up, though. They've merged with MCM this October, and MCM gets truly unfathomably insane footfall to the point where I think arguably they oversell it each year. So, but for the people displaying at EGX, it's going to mean a lot of great footfall, and potentially for those of us doing shows, good audience, hopefully.
Yeah, well, if we go, we'll have to make sure we do fancy dress this year, just because.
Just stand outside, just hand that leaflet. You should go to the VR game spotlight. You should check this out. Just every time they walk through, just do that. That's the way to do it.
So Callum, what's your favourite ever VR game experience? Moment, whatever you like.
That's a good question. I should really be more prepared for a question like that. It's always tough. I mean, personally, I'm someone who struggles to pick a favourite anything. That's just something kind of annoying about me. But up there's an experience called Dispatch, or Dispatch, however you want to pronounce it, that really stuck with me. That was on the I think I experienced it on the Oculus Go. But it's a story about a 999 dispatch officer getting a call about a sort of attack and staying on the line with them as officers try and get to them. It's like a 4-part, really short experience, and it's all done with like almost wireframe animation. It's not like super realistic or anything like that. It's not interactive at all. But I don't know what it is about it. It really stuck with me for years. I think there's just, I don't know, maybe it's because I hadn't experienced a lot of stories about like from the perspective of a dispatch officer, but it was pretty cool. But in terms of game, it would really have, I mean, it's dead, but it would really have to be Echo Combat. The combat side of Echo VR. I mean, I'd have to go onto my Oculus to check, but got to be near 1,000 hours.
Wow.
A long time.
Blimey.
Yeah, I was truly
That's a
obsessed
lot.
with that game for a long time, and I met a lot of people in there. I did, a couple of people who like I still talk to outside, games now that I met inside the game. In fact, you'll have heard one of them. So a friend of mine, Katie Hageman, who does the voice between each trailer in the VR game Spotlight.
Yeah.
I met her through Echo, and I don't know, that's the first, I guess, like proper social VR experience for me, where I actually met people that I've since sort of met outside of the game and things like that. It was pretty cool, and it had a little tight knit community. It was cool.
Yeah. I think that's why the original Firewall still holds a special place in my heart, just simply because of all the friends I met on that and relationships were made on there. It's just, a great experience. So I can completely connect with that one.
Firewall was great. It's a shame about the sequel.
Can we not do this again? next please.
Yeah, but I think that whole social side of VR, that certainly surprised me, because myself and Alex, we were new to VR with PSVR 2, and I'm not normally a multiplayer gamer. Don't usually like playing multiplayer games, although playing stuff in VR has really changed that, and stuff like Walkabout Mini Golf has just like totally changed how I see playing multiplayer games online now.
You're looking forward to the Wallace and Gromit DLC?
Oh yes.
Not as much as I think Alex is, but
definitely. I think Reese is looking forward to it even more than me.
Yeah, these guys are.
I'm terrible at the game, but I will be jumping in that and just walking around, just looking at everything. I won't even do the golf. I'll just look at everything. Exactly.
I mean, I'm always excited for new Walkabout Mini Golf content, and it's always such a good, reliable track record every.
And I'm about 95% certain I'm finally going to get a VR headset on my husband, because he loves Wallace and Gromit. So I think it's finally going to be the time he's going to play. Hopefully.
So one of you plays it on the Quest, the other one plays it on the PSVR 2. We can all just literally have a big match, and he'll just be like, "Why have you done this to me?"
Yeah.
You've made me suffer these people.
Have you played the Wallace and Gromit game yet? That came out for Quest.
Yeah, is it Grand Getaway? Yeah,
Grand Getaway. Yeah, I bought it. I haven't gone around to playing it yet. Was it good?
I'm in the same boat.
It was quite good, yeah. Because I'm sure it's been nominated for an Emmy or something potentially.
Cool.
Wow.
I should probably play that. I don't know why I haven't. I bought it when I think it was about a week after you picked it up, and I just haven't got around to playing it.
I literally got it on day one. I just haven't gone around to it yet.
There's many of them, and I was looking at my Quest library earlier, and I'm like, how can there be 217 things on here? And I'm like,
what?
Honestly, the Quest store can be like Steam sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just see a game, and I think it's helped by the fact.
Must buy.
Oh god, don't get me started on the whole 90% thing.
Oh wow. I mean, I bought games that I already have on the PSVR 2. I bought games that I don't need anymore. Like, it was just, I just bought anything that's on the 90%. I was like, I will take that.
As a player, I appreciated the very brief little everyone's doing 90% off thing. As someone working in VR games, my concern is that it was starting to feel like a bit of a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's what happened to the mobile market. It's why no one will pay more than £2. Even then, will they buy it at all if it's not free? I think it's a slippery slope and a dangerous game. But thankfully,
I'm glad it stopped.
Die off.
Well, you can see it on the PlayStation Store. There's been a few.
But they're all from the same publishers.
Still did it, didn't they? But yeah, I know what you mean, Callum, and I wonder if that's something, if that kind of Quest is, because it is that kind of mobile hardware, is there a bit more of that market? I don't know.
It's difficult though, because even though arguably it's kind of the mobile market in that it is running a mobile chipset and whatnot, but unfortunately, like the development pipeline is nothing like that of a mobile game, and it's way more expensive.
And it's not quite as kind of casual, is it? Putting on a VR headset,
totally.
It's by definition not very casual experience. You've got to be quite invested in wanting to play the games. It's not like playing Candy Crush at a bus stop.
Totally. And on mobile, you can rely on in-app purchases in a way that you kind of can't in VR gaming right now.
Yeah. I'm just conscious of time. We better get cracking with the show. We'll just keep going, I suppose. Just
you're sweating already.
Talk to you all night, Callum. No, it's great. It's a great chat. It's just,
by all means, cut me off if I go on tangents at any point.
It's great. I love hearing people's kind of stories, how they get into it.
I'm adding to it if you go on a tangent. I'm just going to keep making it longer, just so Laurie's like, oh, God, we're really near the end here. We're 2 hours in, guys.
That's all right. We'll just skip what Reese has been playing. We don't care about that. Well, let's move on to the news, which will start with a very Callum story. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that we are now on our shiny brand new YouTube channel. So please, if you're an audio listener, please go there and hit subscribe as soon as you can. You'll be doing us a massive favour. If you are watching us on YouTube, hopefully you have hit the subscribe button already. But if not, please do that now. And yeah, if you haven't found it yet, you can find us on youtube.com/@crossbuttonvr. Or it'll be in the description for this episode, or you'll see it on our Twitter or wherever else. So please,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. We might have mentioned it quite a lot online this last week or so. But yes, thank you for everyone who's subbed already. So first up with the news, big news this week. We've got confirmation that Windlands 2 is coming to PSVR 2, and that is out on the 25th of July. If only we had someone to talk to about Windlands 2. Callum, there you are. Great. So this must be an exciting time for you then.
It's very exciting. For me especially, it's my first game launch.
Okay, wow, yeah. Because we just heard that story of like your whole time in it. It must be now like fantastic to work for Psyctec actually on a release.
It's great. I've known John Hibbins, our CEO, a number of years. Met him through the Spotlight actually.
Wow. Cool.
And he's been really great. What he's very good at, I've seen in other people, is that he is good at spotting, good workers and talented people early on and snapping them up early. He's done that with a lot of great team members. And I appreciated that he seems to have viewed me, I guess, in some cases that way. And he's been great. He's aware that it's my first full-time job in games, that the Spotlight's been a personal project, which he's also totally chill with me continuing to do, which is great as well. The Spotlight is happening again this year. It's totally separate from Psyctec. Psyctec can be part of it if they want to be part of it, and they don't have to if they don't want to. It's
they would, but yeah.
there's been totally no pressure. I mean, being this year, it's not going to work out timing wise. I guess that's one of the things that I'll know that early on enough. Yeah, timing wise, this Spotlight, there's not really going to be anything to show from us at Psyctec. But no, John's been really great about it. He's been really coaching me through some of this early stuff with my first launch. The PlayStation VR 2 version of Windlands 2 has kind of been one of my big focuses since joining. Mm-hmm. We knew we had to kind of get it out the door, and the team at VR Monkey, who by the way are the team that are porting the game for us, have been working really hard on it, and they're a really great studio. VR Monkey, they came out recently with their own game, Sky Climb, which I highly recommend checking out if you haven't already. They've been a really great team to work with, but the team at Psyctec are so busy working on our next game that they didn't have much time to dedicate to the VR2 port themselves internally. So that was a big focus of mine, getting in there. And Sony's back end is a lot more complicated than that of Meta, Viveport, and Pico, and all of that. So there's been a lot of learnings there, especially in setting up. I won't go into crazy details or anything, but as we have announced, anyone who has purchased Windlands 2 for PlayStation VR on PS4, the original, will get a free upgrade to the PSVR 2 version, even if they bought
Yes.
the disc. And that's taken some setting up. But no, it's been a real big learning experience. We're really happy with how the ports turned out as well. It really does feel in many ways like sort of the definitive version.
So obviously, we've all played it. We can't talk too much about it because it's still on. This episode's going to come out before the embargo lifts. But I know you've said that from what we can say, it's weird. Yeah, I'm loving it. Obviously, I didn't play it on PlayStation VR1, so I can't compare it to anything. But I'm pretty blown away so far. I can't wait to talk about it properly next week.
I'm thrilled to hear that, and I can't wait to hear what you all have to say about it as well. You know, for PlayStation VR1 players in particular, it's going to feel like a really big upgrade. You know, if you're coming from like Quest 3 or PC, it's going to feel like a little bit of an upgrade. The haptics are really nice compared to you know, especially the actual headset rumble. Really cool. I stand by. It should be in every headset. It really does need to be. It feels great. But you know, particularly for PlayStation VR1 players, the team at VR Monkey had the big task, bless them, of making the controls work on Move controllers. And that was tough, you know, that lack of analog stick. And then on top of that, you know, it is very much a 360 game. Flying, spinning around, fighting these bosses, and there's, you know, elements of like backtracking around this world, so there's a lot of turning around. And obviously PSVR was a very front-tracked headset, so anyone who did buy it on there and is getting the free upgrade is going to really notice quite a huge upgrade.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the control upgrade is that must be the biggest step up from PSVR to PSVR 2. It's not only the graphics.
We have
and stuff,
crossplay now as well, which was not in the PlayStation VR version. It was introduced to Quest headsets and Steam / also the Oculus Rift platform earlier this year. We worked hard to really implement that into PSVR 2 as well. So if anyone's looking at potentially picking up Windlands 2 on PlayStation VR 2, but you've got friends who are playing it on Quest or Steam, you can link up with them and play it. And honestly, co-op is, don't get me wrong, Windlands 2 is also a great game to play solo, but if you've got friends to play with, it really shines in co-op.
Yeah, Reese and I played it together and it was a lot of fun. Laurie didn't want to play with us, but Reese and I played it.
He never does. He said he likes multiplayer a minute ago, but he backtracks when we ask him.
I didn't get an invite.
Damn, I think he's right. Actually, I don't think we actually invited him. I will definitely go more into my thoughts next week, but I will say I smiled. That was
we echo Laurie's sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to being able to talk more freely about it.
Yeah, without Callum just staring at us, you can't say that.
Yeah, well, let's move on because we're probably going to talk a lot about it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say it. Like, you can't say that, but damn, right, come on, guys, cut that out.
But yeah, I mean, just congratulations, Callum, and I hope the launch goes well.
Thank you very much.
Next bit of news then, we saw this week an update for Aces of Thunder, which is something we've not heard about for a while, I think. It's still aiming for a Q4 release, which is good, and they also revealed that there's a PC VR version on the way as well for Steam, which I'm very happy about. I don't think exclusives are a good idea in the world of VR. I think just be everywhere, why not? So yeah, if that helps them sell more copies and recoup their money and go on and make more games, then great.
Shame the PlayStation loyals didn't feel the same, but
well,
yeah. There was a couple.
But I mean, for me, the biggest takeaway is that it's still aiming for a Q4 release, and we'll pick that up again when we talk about our main topic, looking at the quietly awesome upcoming release schedule that PSVR 2 has built for itself in a minute.
Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah. Also saw this week the reveal of the haptics vest, which is the bHaptics tact suit. Which I'm glad I've got that.
Isn't it?
I would not have remembered the name of that. The bHaptics tech suit.
Oh, of course you've got one. Callum, can I come round and try the bHaptics, please?
Nice. So it's only launched with 4 games initially. So those are Breachers, Big Shots, Hellsweeper, and Legendary Tales. But from what I understand, on Quest there's like hundreds of games that it works with. So presumably they're going to be just rolling out patches as soon as possible for all these games.
It's all developer dependent. So if the dev wants to work on getting that working on the PSVR 2 version, they certainly can do that.
Yeah, I mean, Callum, do you have any insight as to how easy a process that is for developers?
I'm of course not the one doing it, but my lovely boss John has been working on that for unnamed new game that I can't really talk about. But I'm sure I can say that we've had a little play with the bHaptic stuff, and it's cool. It works. It's cool. I'm not going to commit to saying anything as to whether or not anything will ship in our games. That's really more up for John to say. But we did get it sort of running in an early state in a demo, and it felt cool. And he managed to do it in pretty good time. I don't know whether that's just because John is particularly good at it, or whether it's because it's really easy to work with, or a mix of both. But he managed to do that in quite quick turnaround, and we got a cool little demo going with it. So I could see it. I could see it being built into more games, all depending on. I don't know where the price point is, things like that for how much it costs. But if it's at a decent price, I could see it doing well.
Well, it's not cheap. It's they come.
Yeah, I suppose the argument as well is obviously the price point and how many people are going to be using the bHaptics, whether it's worth implementing for them to add the extra development time and all that kind of stuff, isn't there? I was very tempted to order one. I'm going to be honest, and then I added it all to my basket. I was like, I cannot buy that right now.
I will say in the UK, right this very second is not the best time. I was using it to try out this demo just yesterday, actually. And I don't know if you remember how hot it was yesterday.
I had the fan on.
It's like, playing VR at the moment, it's quite hard enough. Let's just put a really warm jacket on.
I won't say how I was dressed, but I was playing VR yesterday.
Oh, yeah. And, I had all the arm bits on as well, and it felt really cool in-game, but, oh boy, did it exacerbate the heat.
Yeah, so according to Upload VR, it's saying it comes in two variants. It's a $330 one, which has got 16 vibration points on it, or the Alex model, which is a $530 one, which has 40 vibration points, and then the armbands,
which is the one that
cost another $250. Yeah, okay, that's the.
I have no idea.
The X40, yeah, that's the 40 that you got there.
Okay, yeah, 40, yeah.
Nice.
I could just tell straight away by looking at that beautiful
thing. That is what it says.
The armbands cost another $250, and they're 6 per arm as well, vibration points. So, it's quite an investment there. You're looking at $780.
That is quite the investment.
Yeah,
I don't even think I'd get that signed off.
But I mean, that's probably like if you're buying like the steering wheel rig and stuff, which Alex, you do have. People spend like a lot of money. I think if you're someone that's really into your shooters and stuff, and
that's
those
the
sorts
thing.
of games like Breaches.
I'm sure if you speak to anyone from bHaptics, I'm sure they'll say they are well aware it's an enthusiast product.
Yeah.
It
and it's for people who really want that, full immersion.
I am intrigued. I really am.
I think Reese should get it because you are the shooter.
I really
guy,
literally.
And I can imagine playing games in it. It's just like feels like you're wearing a bulletproof vest, and that would be great.
Did you do like a face one? Like, because do you know how much I love throwing things at your face in VR?
Oh, don't that. Oh, yeah, it's actually a vibration one for you.
I haven't got to test this yet, to be honest. The vibration points, for the most part, are like actually in the face pad. But the Quest 3 does not come with a Velcro facial interface. So I need to buy one that supports like.
I have a Velcro facial interface. That's a great. Is that another bHaptics product, or is that a?
It is a bHaptics product. Yeah.
Oh damn! That's another thing to add to the basket. This basket's getting worse.
Again, I don't know the cost on them. I got them for testing purposes, but they're cool. As I say, I haven't got to try this one yet, but
that's awesome.
I will.
Well,
I'll pay for that one for you just so I can hit you in the face.
Yeah, anything when we play tennis and he hits like the tennis ball straight in my face, I always dart backwards. So if I felt that hitting my face in VR, but the fact that they're implementing that for Quest and that kind of stuff, like that kind of adds that haptic feedback that you've been feeling in the PSVR 2 headset, and now that's coming to a Portal headset in a sense is really cool as well. So
I can tell you, Reese, that's $150 for the visor. So add that to your rig. You're now onto about $900.
I will sit down with the missus after this episode, and I will have a discussion with her. And she may think it's a serious discussion until I mention this is about VR, and we'll see how that goes. I'll let you all know next episode.
Yeah. Look forward to that.
Good. Yeah, that could be the main topic for next week. Hearing about that. Cool. Well, we'll revisit that maybe when Reese does buy one. He can give us a hands-on impression. Next up, a bit of news. We had confirmation of Whitewater VR Extreme Kayaking Adventure. Great name. Coming to PSVR 2. No date for this one yet, but certainly one I'm looking forward to. Huge kayak VR Mirage fan that I am. So yeah, that's the latest update for that kayak VR Mirage added some whitewater rafting to it, and it was like, wow, this is really good. This like makes it so much more interesting to be doing the whitewater stuff. So
who'd have thought kayaking would become its whole own genre in VR?
Yeah,
Phantom Covert Ops as well.
It works so well because you're sitting down, you're playing a sport, but you're kind of sat down. So it's just such a your physicality of it. It just doesn't make me feel
maybe we'll get
kind of
some
motion sick.
Olympics DLC tie-in or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, it's
going
got
down
good reviews on Steam as well. That one that's coming out, that Whitewater one. So it seems to be very high regarded, which is always nice to see when a game's coming over that's had them type of reviews as opposed to not.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's great to see more Quest games coming over to PSVR 2 and just fill out the library.
It's a
always
PC
good
game.
To see. Oh, a PC game. All right, sorry. Well, just more games from PC or Quest or wherever. Moving on then with Arken Age. We'll be talking about this one as our second half of the year roundup as well, but we've got a little developer update this week just with some of the things on it, which was nice to see because we've not heard too much about that one since its initial trailer, and it sounds like it's progressing well. Looked like it's coming sooner than I was expecting, to be honest. There's just a release date is coming soon, so yeah.
Because I think it said it had been submitted for certification. I think it said that, didn't it? So,
but they're doing the beta on the PC at the moment, and they're doing the closed testing on that, and then I think they were seeing how that goes and putting it for certification, or have they already done that? I don't know.
It certainly sounded like it wasn't too far off.
Yeah. It's and there some of the details they added from it. It's 10-15 hour campaign. There's a online sort of endless combat mode where you've got global leaderboards for Alex. It's got adaptive triggers and foveated rendering and eye tracking. So it sounds like they're really making the most of the headset. And this is not a PSVR 2 exclusive, but it sounds like they are making the most of the headset and all its features and stuff. And interesting, there's going to be graphics modes where you can choose from a 90 native or 60/120 reprojected, which I don't know we've seen that before, have we?
No, certainly not very much. I can't say we've definitely not seen it, but not been a lot.
Alvo had it where you could change the.
I saw a trailer for something this week. I'm sure that was a different game that advertised that, but so I remember thinking the same thing. That was cool to give people the option.
Yeah.
Because Alvo did it when they pushed out the PS5 and PSVR 2 update for that. You could change the refresh rate, which I thought was pretty cool. I just kept it on default and had no issues, but it's nice, like you said, to have the option of it.
Very cool. Well, we'll talk about Arken Age again in a minute, and hopefully we'll find out more. It feels like if the release date is coming soon, it feels like there's another trailer. Must be around the corner. Who knows? Maybe at VR Spotlight. We'll see. Nice. Final bit of news I saw this week, and by all means, if anyone else has got anything they want to throw in, please do. But I just saw as a bit of Quest news, they've updated the Quest headset so that these mixed reality games can now span multiple rooms. So it's not like PSVR 2 where it can scan one room and that's where you're playing. It can basically scan your whole house, 15 rooms in total. So unless you live in a really big house, it can just scan your entire room. And I was just like, wow, must be great for a developer's point of view that you could really go to town if you map out someone's entire house, and you're not going to have to worry about hitting that boundary. You can just wander through your whole house and the rooms will just connect and the headset will know where it goes from one zone to another. Just the possibility that must add would be really cool. And also I was like, it'd be really good if you did like a treasure hunt style game in someone's whole house. It'd be quite cool.
Finders keepers.
Yeah, finders keepers. Yeah. So yeah. Obviously, I don't have a Quest headset, so I can only imagine how cool this is going to be. But you guys can let me know.
It will be pretty cool because some of the things that I'm thinking of some of the upcoming games in mixed reality, and like something like Laser Dance and things like that. And if you could start to then venture out like in the layout, and then what's the Resolution one, Reese, that's coming out, the shooter?
I can't remember the name of it. All I remember
was thinking
it looks
things
like
like
Laser
that.
Tag.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
So it brings not endless possibilities, but it's certainly kind of, rather than being stuck in one space where you feel like it is just a wall around you and you can start to then experiment with it a bit more. It certainly adds something to it.
Takes down some of those boundaries as well. Just that thing that you feel like you're pushing up against something when you're playing in VR. It's just to remove those boundaries, and playing in mixed VR anyway, it just feels like you're not closed away because you can see your house still, so it feels like you're still in the space that you know.
Yeah.
I must admit, on PSVR 2, I do frequently I'm moving around the rooms and I kind of forget where I am, and I always sort of hit the boundaries and stuff and have to recenter myself in the middle of the room.
Although you don't really want to be like wandering around the house playing this game and your family sitting on the sofa going, who is this idiot wandering about the headset? And like, I'm just shooting something beside you. It's
Wow, this is amazing.
Get out, you idiot.
To be fair, for anything that's fully in VR and you want something slightly better than just, your standard Guardian, I highly recommend a round rug. There is something about it that works really well. I've been doing it for a while now because I found I'm in a fairly small space here that I play VR in, and I've punched my furniture a lot, particularly back when I was playing a lot of Echo. It was whenever I'd go to throw like a grenade type thing, I'd always hit something. And the one time I decided to do something about it was a slightly different shelf, but I had a similar shelf full of VR headsets, and I sent the whole thing flying towards the ground.
It's that moment of panic because you can't see what you've done. You're like, fuck.
Oh yeah, immediately was like,
you
oh my god!
don't want to look though. You don't want to, do you? That's the thing.
No.
Because I remember I hit something off before, and I was like, I don't want to look. I don't want to see what damage I've done.
And so many of them were PC headsets at the time. So I was like, plug them all in and make sure they're all okay. They were all fine.
That is pricey.
But a round rug. There's something about it, as soon as you've stepped off of it. It's I can highly recommend.
I've seen a lot of people say about them being. And they usually have like a little dot in the middle, don't they? So you know where the center is of the rug when you move away from it, which is pretty cool.
And what's really useful for that, a lot of people make really cool round rugs that like game discs.
Okay.
For the artwork, which are pretty cool. I like this.
Yeah,
I haven't got one.
I usually back myself up towards the sofa. So where I've got the sofa going, I usually back my legs up to that. So when I move away, I can't feel the sofa towards the back of my legs, and I know I've went too far. But if I'm moving sideways, and obviously I know I can kind of go along with the line of the sofa.
That's good.
I was like, that's a clothes horse. Don't fire it in there.
Oh, yeah. So I had my clothing drying in here yesterday, and we were playing clean sheets, and I moved to the right, and I punched the clothes holes, and I hit the fan, because obviously yesterday it was absolutely boiling in here.
Yeah.
So then I decided to move, so I had my back towards the radiator cover with all the figures on. Bad idea. Shouldn't have done that. But my PlayStation's also on that same wall there. So I was then like, Alex, you can't shoot towards this side because that's not fair, because otherwise I'm going to hit the PlayStation. It was just this whole stupidity of playing this game. But it was panicking and also a good laugh. But yeah, no, it's good to obviously know where your actual central point is when playing VR. So yeah, I definitely think I might grab a round mat at some point.
I do fear for my Lego sometimes.
Oh god, I would not want to see that.
Yeah.
I would not want to see that if that ever
That'd be
happened.
spectacular if that went.
It wouldn't be. There would definitely be tears. I mean, I've managed to keep my son away from breaking any of it. If I did it, I would never live it down.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, let's move on to what we've been playing, I guess. And Reese, do you want to start? You want to tell us what you've been playing?
I tried out some Undead Citadel, which is a game that's currently on PC VR. That's where it's in early access at the moment, mainly. I know it's coming to other platforms as well, but I don't know if it's like in betas or closed betas, but it's going to be coming to PSVR 2 as well. So I jumped into that, gave that a go. It's meant to be a bit similar to Legendary Tales in the way the combat works, except from it doesn't feel as weighty or as there's not enough threat to it. Like when I play sword fighting games, I always want to feel that there's threat. Like when I face certain enemies, I don't want to just feel like I can flail my arms around and be like, yeah, cool, I'm done with that. You have to have the threat in it, and it didn't have threat. It felt the gameplay loop was very boring for me, which is a shame to say because the trailers make this game look pretty cool. Well, I thought it always looked pretty cool anyway.
It's got a cool name.
It just wasn't hitting. The story, you play as this person who seems to be wronged by the gods, but then that kind of fades, and he just keeps talking about going to a brothel and killing. That's it. That's pretty much all he does this whole time in a very shouty voice the whole way through. He has one tone, and it's "I'm going to shout." So,
so it's early game Kratos.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it is. I think that's what they've went for. Graphics look good. I can't fault that. But I think they kind of need to work on the combat to make it feel a little bit more weighty. Because every time I get hit by a sword, I was like, this just doesn't feel. It feels a little bit too janky for me to get that enjoyment from these really big battles, even with the brute enemies. So it was a bit of a shame. I played it for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then I just kind of was like, yeah, I'm done with this. I think that's enough. I've got all I've got from the 4 chapters that I played in that time to know what I'm expecting here. And it pretty much always ends with you finding a big giant key to open a gate, and then it just ends the level. So I'm hoping they can do more of it to make it have that impact and be a bit more fun for people in the gameplay loop. But I'm not too sure. But at the same point,
a cool idea.
Yeah, I'm slightly disappointed. I think I had higher hopes for it, and I think that's probably why it's also hit me there as well. So, expectations and things like that is in there. So, but yeah, it's that's all I've really played. Well, other than Windlands, but we'll jump more into that next week.
Okay. Callum, I should have asked you first. What have you been playing? Do you get much chance to play games at the moment? Surely you do.
Yeah. What have I been playing recently? In VR, actually, very recently in VR, I've been playing Synapse. We briefly spoke about before the show.
Yeah.
That's one that I'd been meaning to get to for so long. Again, it's one I bought on like day one and just sat there for ages.
Great game.
It's the one. I'll be honest. It's the one slight downside of the PSVR 2. I'm used to playing wirelessly, so it feels like a bit of effort to get out the PSVR 2 and the cable. But I basically leave it plugged in all the time now.
Yeah, same.
So I've jumped in. That's been pretty cool. I'm a big Metal Gear guy, so hearing David Hayter and
yeah, that's so cool.
Is cool.
I think that was the major selling point to that game, wasn't it? Like I could cancel out everything else and just hear that talking, the dialogue, and I'd be like, yeah, this is great.
Just hearing David Hayter talking about battlefields, it's like that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. We got Jennifer
right there.
Hale as well, which is cool.
See, everyone thinks the gameplay was actually what you paid for with that game. It wasn't. You just paid for the voice acting. That's it. The voice acting is the best
they
thing.
did a great job.
The gameplay wasn't bad either.
No, the game. I was just joking.
No,
The gameplay. It's a great game. It's probably the main reasons to own a PSVR 2. Let's be honest.
But outside of VR, I play a lot of non-VR as well. And what have I been playing most recently? That's a good question. Actually, I think because it was a PS Plus game, I think the last game I finished was the SpongeBob game, Cosmic Shake, I think it was called.
Okay.
It was free on PS Plus. You know what? That was surprisingly fun. I had a good time there.
Did you play it for the platinum?
No. My housemate did though.
I
got it pretty quickly. But
add that one to the list. Thank you. All right, cool, carry on.
I don't think it was a difficult platinum. But yeah, I've actually been jumping all over the place with games this year. I'm trying to get to things that have been on my list forever. So through the first sort of half of the year, I was playing through all the Silent Hill games.
Nice.
So I played a bunch of them, but never completed them.
We need a Silent Hill VR game.
Oh, I would
that
love
would be
it,
good. Yeah,
I don't know if you ever tried. I don't know if you ever played any of the PT
I was going to say someone
mods
should
and
make
remakes
PT.
in VR.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't play
someone's
the
done
VR
it.
mods now.
Yeah, it's a thing, and it's true. Yeah, it's terrifying. I couldn't do it. But I struggle with some of the sections in the Resi games in VR. So
No. So I'm fine with the Resident Evil ones. Madison was the one that broke me, but yeah.
Oh, I haven't done Madison yet. I haven't had the stomach.
We don't do horror games, do we, Alex?
And I've done
I'm
Madison
trying to
non-VR. Like I've done it in non-VR, and I was like, okay, this is scary. And then when I played it in VR, I was like, yeah, this is grueling. I didn't want to put my headset on at some point in the game. It was just.
If you enjoy classic Resident Evil, I highly recommend Crow Country. Came out a couple of months ago.
That.
And yeah, I had such a great time with it. What a game!
Yeah, brilliant game.
Well, completely different style game, but what I've been playing is I've just finished Sushi Ben. Other than Windlands 2, I've been playing. I've just finished Sushi Ben, which I was very pleased to finally finish and see the end of. Very happy to finish and play that game. Absolutely loved it. I think it is one of my favourite games on the headset. It's just a game about helping your neighbours out and then taking them out for dinner afterwards. It's a kind of cozy, feel good vibe to it. I love it. And Alex, you've just started playing it.
I have. I started it today, and I think I'm maybe about an hour in, and I'm very impressed. Like it looks so. I think it looks so crisp.
It is very
I was
clean,
so surprised at how good it looks and how well
cool,
it feels and
3D manga panels and stuff.
You can actually look inside them as well. So if you tilt your head, you can actually look further inside the panels, all the angles.
It's so well done. Like the characters are cool. Like the animation's cool. Story seems bizarre. Like, and I've only done I only got past the first the fishing bit. The first time you go fishing and stuff like that. So I'm not far into it. But yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy it. Definitely.
Yeah.
I can
That's,
see why you guys have been going on about it now.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
great.
It is fantastic.
I understand. The first time I heard of it was at the VR Game Spotlight. So
I was going to say, we got to showcase it at last year's Spotlight, and that's actually one that I chased down. You know, they didn't apply. I saw their game come up somewhere through Twitter, and I got in contact with the developer, who's a lovely guy as well. And was like, I love your game. We've got a showcase coming up.
So is that Kane?
Do you want to be part of it?
Was that Kane?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was Kane,
he was.
Big Brain.
He was on the show a few weeks ago, and
cool.
It's just hearing him talk about the inspiration behind the game. If anyone hasn't listened to that, check out that episode.
I will give it a listen.
It's on our new YouTube. But yeah, it's just fascinating hearing about the kind of how you tell stories in VR. It's a completely different set of challenges, and just getting people to look where you want them to look, and that's where the panels, the manga panels, came from. Just trying to focus people's attention on things. But yeah, such a smart design trick.
Yeah.
Cool. So Alex, have you been playing anything else?
Well, a couple of things, probably just to mention, because I wasn't here last week. So I started playing Infinite Inside. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm mega impressed. Like, that's such a me game. Like, I know you guys said, like, an Alex game. Like, that, it is absolutely a me game. So what I've played, I've really enjoyed, and I will finish that off in the next week or so, hopefully. And I came back, so I was on my holidays, and I came back, turned on my PlayStation, and I had 46 notifications of people beating my scores and Spin Rhythm XD. So I've been playing a little bit of that. Because I'm like, you can't beat me. No. So yeah, I'm still enjoying that. Like, that's such a good game.
Callum, whatever game you're making over there at the moment at Psyctec, just include a leaderboard, and then you'll get Alex to play it and put lots of time into it. That's the
retention. VR retention right there is leaderboards for Alex.
Cool.
Particularly ones that notify you.
Yeah. Ones that troll you.
I wish I could talk about it.
I'll have you back on when you can, don't worry. Yeah. Cool. Well, and that's a nice segue into our main topic of the week, really. We just wanted to talk about how PSVR 2 is kind of built out of just very quietly. It's been getting release after release added to its release schedule, and the second half of this year is actually looking pretty awesome, really. So we'll talk about that, but before we do, just want to let everyone know that we are sponsored by Kiwi Design, who produce and design accessories for Meta Quest. So that's cable management, controller grips, battery headsets, straps, whatever it is you need. Kiwi sell it. You can help support us and save a few quid by heading over to kiwidesign.com. You can use the link in the description for this episode. And if you enter the code CBVR at the checkout, you get 5% off your order as well, which is nice. So that's kiwidesign.com.
They have a nice new facial interface that's Velcro for you.
Oh, lovely.
I will head to the store and check that out. I need one of those.
There we go. Sorted. Got a sale, guys.
And also a final shout out for people, if you haven't joined our Discord yet, please jump into our Discord. It's great to see so many people come over. It's got another, as well as a new YouTube, we've got a new Discord as well. So we can really double down on the VR community that we're building. So please jump into that and join the conversation. We're getting lots of people sharing what they've been playing, talking about the news each week, talking about the episodes. So yeah, great to people get involved. But yeah, what's coming up for PSVR 2 then? I have a list here. It's quite a long list, actually, so I won't go through the whole. I'll just read out the whole list if you like, and then we can talk about any things there that jump out at everyone. Just maybe pick 2 or 3 that you're really looking forward to. So first off, on August the 8th, we've got Arcade Paradise VR, which we'll be playing and reviewing shortly. In October the 31st, it's been delayed. We've got Wanderer: Fragments of Fate, which I'm very excited about. And then Q3 games, we've got Ghosts of Tabor, we've got Arken Age. We've got Metal Hellslinger, which is fall 2024. Behemoth, which is also fall 2024. We've got Alien Rogue Incursion, Holiday 2024. Aces of Thunder. And then just undated for 2024, we've got Zombie Army, Max Mustard, and finally Metro Awakening. And obviously there'll be loads of other games as well, but they're the ones that I've just thought, these are quite notable releases that I think we're going to command a bit of attention. So yeah, out of all of those, guys, what do you think? What's that you're most looking forward to out of those?
I just want to say I think it's good because I can't actually choose 3 or 4. There's quite a good few there that I am really looking forward to, and I think that's really good to just have that off the bat, knowing there's quite a good few games coming. because I am looking forward to the Zombie Army one. I do enjoy the non-VR version, so I'm looking forward to that.
I knew you'd say that.
Behemoth.
I knew that was going to be.
I mean, let's be honest. Who is not looking forward to Skydancer's Behemoth?
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be great. It looks great. That Red Band trailer they showed just made me I was like, yeah,
Yes.
I'm even more excited.
Isn't it Paramount's Behemoth? No.
Paramount Skydancer's Behemoth. Yeah, that's now the full title of the game. They couldn't fit it on the box art though, so they're not going to be doing a physical. I don't know if that's true. I'm just mucking around with you. Anyways, I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Metro Awakening. I mean, come on, Metro in VR. We've needed something like that for a long time. It's such a huge title, and I've already voiced my opinion on that so much. So
that's certainly the prettiest looking game I think that's coming.
Yeah, I'd say them three definitely. I mean, Ghost of Tabor, even though I've played it on the Quest and PC, I'm still looking forward to playing it on yet another headset. And I feel like that'll be one that'll probably jump on and get another bHaptic support because they have that on PC. So they might even implement that pretty quickly if they can. That'd be quite nice too to make people that have purchased that a bit more happier with their purchase. There's a lot there, and I mean, Arken Age. I mean, it's just too many. There's too many for me to just sit. I'll be saying them all. So yeah,
and obviously
good news though.
We're in the second half of the year now, so these are all going to be over the next 6 months, which is that's a lot there. I think what was that? So 11 games I listed there. Callum, any of those jump out at you?
Largely the same ones. To be fair, I'm very much looking forward to Metro. Wanderer is very high up there for me. I really, really enjoyed the original. The idea that we're getting this full, big remake. It looks fantastic. I could not be more excited, personally. God, there's lots this year. I'm very curious about Alien, Rogue Incursion. I think they have a bit of a high bar to meet from Isolation, of course. But the team at Servius are great. While their previous games are quite different, I have faith in them. So that's one I'm also looking forward to. If I can bring myself to play it without getting too scared, we'll see. But,
depends how many face huggers are going to be in it. I think will be the.
Oh, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, things jumping at your
Alien,
face.
Fine, but face huggers, I'll be like, this is going to be difficult.
Those face haptics are going to get a workout.
Oh god, yeah. I think it's quite exciting. You know, I won't go fully into it, but I've spoken to friends at other studios who have launched on PlayStation VR 2 already, and they've been pretty happy with how their game's been performing there.
We've heard that from a few devs as well, which is always great to hear because I think sometimes they worry about that. I don't know if we've come across, but you got to admit the PSVR 2 community is very passionate about what games go onto the headset.
Yeah.
So you do find a lot of them do jump straight on and support the developers, which is always great to see.
100%. It may not be the biggest user base in the world, but they're a passionate user base and they care, and that's arguably more important for us smaller studios.
It's the Vita all over again.
Oh yeah.
As a
I
proud
miss my
Vita
Vita.
owner.
I still have it. I just miss there's no support for it anymore.
Well, yeah, it's quite old now.
Still good for
It's
getting
got
trophies.
quite a good homebrew scene though. People are doing some cool stuff, making some cool ports. Someone ported Cuphead over to it.
Oh damn!
Wow.
Sonic Mania running on it. Yeah, people are doing some cool stuff.
It was such a great device.
It was.
I feel like I was ahead of its time for a good
it's
while.
probably not far off a Switch in terms of its sort of power, if it's on a par with the Switch.
I mean, the difference is it got used more than my Switch, so I mean, there's that there too.
Wow.
Okay, well, let's stick to.
Yes, VR2.
We could have a whole episode about Vita. Maybe we will. But in the meantime, Alex, what's jumping out for you for this year?
See, do you remember the last time, Laurie, we had an episode where you wanted me to come up with what's my most anticipated game, and I said the one that was coming the next week, and it ended up I was absolutely right. Because look at what Walkabout Mini Golf did, but for me it wasn't on your list. But we're getting Arcade Paradise VR very soon on PSVR 2, and people are going to love it.
That was the first one on my list. That was definitely on my list.
Oh, was it on your list? I didn't hear you say
list.
it. I must have missed it. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You said it first.
Yeah, because that's coming out. It's a couple of weeks away. So yeah.
I love that game. I played it on Quest. I'm going to play it again on PSVR 2.
Yeah.
That one and Max Mustard, because again, played it on Quest. That game's going to blow up in PSVR 2. People are crying out for that Astro game. Max Mustard. It's not an Astro game, but
It's the
it's
closest
going to
you're
fill
going to
the
get.
void, and it's just so well done, so well designed, plays really nicely. People are going to really enjoy it, and I think it will really shine on the PSVR 2 as well. So slightly different answer from me, but two to look forward to.
Well, yeah, I think I'm a mix of Callum's and yours. I think because Wanderer and Max Mustard, and then probably Metro as well, just because seeing something with that high fidelity in VR is always cool. But yeah, I'm really keen to play Max Mustard. To be honest, there's so many games that are coming out the next 6 months. This week, or just last week, I suppose, now people listening to this episode, the Quest 3 was really good deals on it. It was a really, I think it was like an Amazon Prime Day, wasn't it? And I think there's lots of retailers jumped onto that kind of price point.
Did it.
So it's a very, very good deal. And I was so tempted. I had one in the basket and I was like, there's just so much that I'm going to be playing on PSVR 2. When am I going to get time to play any of these games? And that's it. It's stuff like Max Mustard coming to PSVR 2 now, and Arcade Paradise as well. I was just like, I'm not sure I need one until I exhaust the stuff that I've got to play on PSVR 2 and all these games that are coming in the next 6 months. I was just going to hold off, and maybe by the time I get through all that, we're going to be on Quest 4, and I'll get one of those on day one instead.
Batman.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be going anywhere, is it? Batman. Yeah, I mean, and Assassin's Creed. I mean, those are the two things that are like the definite pull factors for me. But it's just 2 games. I don't know. It's not quite enough. But
Assassin's Creed was fine.
Okay.
I was speaking about that to Alex the other day. I was just saying, I really wish they kind of just added it to the Rift shop as well, just so you could play it on PC, just so you could get that higher frame rate with it, because that was the issue I had with Assassin's Creed Nexus, was the frame rate for me.
That's fair. I didn't have too many issues. I mean, there were definitely the odd stutters, but for me, it's like the mission structure. I think the game was awesome when you were in the world, in a level, playing the game. But it pulled you out for conversations in the Animus a bit too often.
Exactly the same as every other Assassin's Creed game, and that's always been my issue with them, from like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, and then when they went more into it, so you wasn't getting pulled out all the time, I was fine. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. Anything they drag you out of that into the main world, you're like, I don't want to be here. Like, I want to be back in there.
I will never forget what they took from us. Of the 2 games they announced that day, I was way more excited for Splinter Cell. I wanted my Splinter Cell VR, and they took it.
Yeah, we need Splinter Cell VR. Why are they not doing that? They need to bring that back. Get to it, Ubisoft. Come on.
Well, they've already said they're not doing anything else in VR, so I think you're under buttons there, pal.
And then they did Just Dance.
Oh, but that was already
which was a Pico exclusive for a long time. Now it's a Quest exclusive.
I'm still holding out hope that Assassin's Creed will come across to PSVR 2, just because Ubisoft like money and they like making, it makes.
I mean,
it
everyone likes
entirely
money, right?
depends on what their deal with Meta was. I know Meta were the publisher on Quest, but we have seen games come over after that. So.
Yeah, I've always said it's just such a PlayStation-centric audience that have played every one of those games up to now. So you'd think there'd be a huge community there. That
you never know. To be fair,
people like me that I've just played. I'm a complete guilty pleasure with Assassin's Creed. I've played them all.
Yeah,
I think would be nice. Might have a couple that I've missed. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Shadows in a few months' time. But also lots on PSVR 2 that I will be playing. Yeah, I mean, everyone on that list I'm keen to try out. I think Behemoth is just that big budget spectacle. VR does so well. It's kind of like a Shadow of the Colossus type thing. It looks quite similar to Horizon in terms of its gameplay. I just really hope it lives up to the hype and can pull it off, because it looks so ambitious. Yeah, but Wanderer, that's probably my top of my list. That is just such a me style game. It just looks absolutely. I didn't obviously not played the previous version of it, so I'm just very excited to be being able to play that in a few weeks' time.
Nice.
Those key messages. There's plenty to keep us busy, plenty to look forward to, isn't there?
Yeah, and even more if you've got a Quest. So I think VR is I mean, I don't know if you're for you, Callum, but to me, it just seems it's in a sort of great place at the moment. There's just so many games coming out, and I know we have stories of games that come out and don't quite find the success that they were hoping for, and that's always sad to hear. But in terms of the games that are in the pipeline for development and releasing in the next 6 months, it's looking fantastic.
It's so interesting. We talk a lot about how VR is kind of in its own bubble from the rest of the games industry, and for so many years people spoke about that in like a negative connotation, in that it doesn't have the massive user base that console gaming does, and it's harder to develop for and things like that. But really, the last year, and especially at the moment, it's felt like a really positive thing. the games industry is in a rough place at the moment. And, we're seeing layoffs left, right, and center, and it's heartbreaking. Some of my friends have been affected. And yeah, in our little VR bubble, things are kind of going okay for the most part. I'm not saying that there aren't any troubles and, and things like that, but things are going okay here. We've generally, across the platforms, we've got a solid user base now. And, there are lots of conversations we had regarding rate of retention and things like that, but it's the same with games consoles. But I think, and I don't have any data outside of our own to back this up, but, from what I have seen, VR players are buying games more so potentially than console players on the whole, on average. So yeah, things are going pretty good.
It's certainly for me, it's an exciting time. There's just lots of new experiences. Developers are working out new ways to do things and finding what works best, and ideas are being shared, and people are learning from one game to the next. So it's it's fast moving and it's exciting.
And I think that's even key to what you're seeing. Something I suppose we maybe should have mentioned in the news, like with the new dimension come to C Smash VRS and this whole like multiplayer approach that they're going. You can do PSVR 2 versus PSVR 2, or PS5 versus PS5, or PS5 versus PSVR 2, and kind of bringing that more hybrid structure to it. I think you're seeing innovation all the time and different ways of developers approaching these things, and I suppose it's around making it as sustainable as it can be as well. But it's good to kind of see the innovation to sustainability.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see that, because some PC VR games do that, obviously, where you can play it in VR while people that are still playing it in non-VR can also join up and play the game together, which is, I do think that's the best thing for multiplayer in VR, to have like the whole base of the game. Because just like take a look at Among Us for instance, they did a VR section of that just on its own, and you couldn't connect with the non-VR players, so you already cut off the biggest user base they had for that game, to the point where it was just filled with, Quest players. I'm not saying Quest players in a bad side, but we you know what I mean with Quest players. You got the squeakers jumping on, and it just made the game not as enjoyable as it could have been. So yeah, I do think having it when they do multiplayer games, if they do have a non-VR version, just try and implement them together. That's the way forward, there.
That level of like cross-play is really cool. While it's, I guess, technically a bit different. I don't know if any of you guys have played Akron: Rise of the Squirrels. It is a VR.
Great name.
I'm going to look after this. Let's put it that way.
I don't know all the platforms it's on. I play it on Quest, and I want to say it's from Resolution Games. I apologize profusely if I'm incorrect, but I want to say it's from Resolution Games. And it is a synchronous multiplayer game where the person who's wearing the headset is like a big living tree, and your arms are like big branches, and everyone on a mobile, on an app, a companion app, is a squirrel. Around the root of the tree are a bunch of nuts. Squirrels need to go get them and bring them back to their base, and you as the tree need to stop them. You can throw things at them, you can pick up the squirrels and throw them. It's so much fun. And you can get, I think, 5, maybe 6 people playing, but you only need one headset, and everyone else has got a phone. It's not a super demanding app or anything like that. And it's just an awful lot of fun that you can have with just only one headset.
And sounds like the Wii U.
Yeah, honestly. And this is the difficulty. There are so few other games like it.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame. My group of friends are obsessed with it because it's,
awesome.
It's the one thing that I can bring a headset around and we're all having fun. Highly recommend checking out.
Cool.
I can't remember the name of it. It's actually one on the because I was browsing the Rift store the other day when I connected my Quest to it. And there's one similar to that where it's a horror one, and the people on the phones can set up the scares.
Okay,
cool. In this VR game, and I thought that was quite a cool thing. I was like, I've not seen anything like this before. Is this the first thing that's ever been done? Well, clearly there's other games that have done it.
I will see if I can check that out.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find the name for it, and I'll drop it to you.
That'd be great.
I might be completely making this up, but I feel when JP was on from Walkabout Mini Golf, we talked about some sort of mode a little bit like that they were looking at implementing with people on phones, and like almost throwing balls and like interfering with like play and stuff. But
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, this goes back to what we were saying about that in VR. Just it's an exciting time. just the new ideas that are being opened up and possibilities of things that you don't quite get. And I think because mainstream games is just so expensive to make now, and the taking a risk is so hard to do, you're getting so much more just completely mad, interesting things in VR. So it's great to see, and for people that are like kind of these bit more random esoteric type games, it's fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Any final thoughts, Callum? Do you want to have a final word on?
Sure. Yeah. If you're a developer, feel free to get in contact if you're interested in showing your game at the VR Game Spotlight in October. We've still got spots left. You can find that at vrgamespotlight.com. If you're a PlayStation VR 2 player, check out Windlands 2. It comes out, as we said, on July 25th, next Thursday. If you had it on PSVR 1, you get it for free. So that's cool. So yeah, please do check that out. And yeah, I guess that's all really.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Callum, and thanks everyone for watching, for listening. If you've enjoyed the episode, please do not hesitate to tell your family and friends all about us. And if you'd like to get more involved, please comment on our episodes, join our Discord, whatever it takes. Drop us a tweet. Thank you for everyone that's already done so. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Alex and Reese. We've been joined by the wonderful Callum Hurley, and we will see you again.
Me on.
No, thank you. We'll see you again all next time. Until then, it's goodbye.